Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live. I am in Lehigh, Utah. Thank you very much on my way home
And I'm in Mammoth Lakes, California. Not on
and
my way home.
enjoying the fishing.
Yep, enjoying the weather. Yep.
Okay, thank you for joining us, friends. We really appreciate. We're kicking off our content. We back up and running. We're going to talk about something interesting. The Commission on the National Defense Strategy reported in their report that was released this month, July 2024, that the U.S. military is not prepared to fight in a major war as major powers, including China and Russia, have become top threats. Duh.
Scary.
The
Scary.
United States is distracted with pronouns, the military,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And we don't even
Well,
have, and we don't know where our Secretary of Defense is.
so we're worrying about pronouns while China outpaces the U.S. in weapons platforms and soldier readiness. And by soldier, I mean soldier, sailor, marine, and airman, all the above, all their armed forces. The report states that the U.S. is facing the most dangerous threat since 1945 and that several problems are preventing the U.S. from being able to address threats from China and Russia. The report describes those problems as business practices, Byzantine research, and reliance on decades old military hardware. So we're not investing in new hardware, new ships, new aircraft, new. The army is getting a new rifle, but that's not really a significant platform.
Well, I was going to say, we're getting a new rifle, and what China's got supersonic weaponry or hypersonic weaponry, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the
That's
Navy is starting to test that too. They're starting to test that. So the report also notes that the armed forces have faced recent recruitment shortfalls. Well, yeah, we've noticed that have led to a decrease in the size of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The Marine Corps has not been affected. The Marine Corps has a great, what should I say, trust. People trust the Marine Corps. When you're in trouble, you want the Marines right there to help you. So they don't have a problem recruiting. And that's great. And I just want to put in a plug. Back in 2018, Paul Ryan, he spearheaded this act that wiped out all of the the pensions for the armed forces and plowed it into like a 401k type. It's called thrift savings program, but no more. And I thought you're not going to be able to recruit new recruits if they're not going to be able to retire, and you're not going to be able to retain those mid-grade NCOs and officers to take on the higher ranks because why should they stay if they're jumping out of airplanes? Why should they stay for the long term, right? So
so.
it's not
Was
just
that
the
a lot of?
wokeism.
Did a lot of that have to do with the re-upping bonuses or the sign-on bonuses that they would give these guys that would, if they would re-enlist?
Well, that's how they countered the pension is to increase the bonuses, the enlistment bonuses and the re-enlistment bonuses. But it's not working. It's a combination of the woke ideology and kids just don't want to. 18-year-olds don't want to enlist, and without without the thought of having a pension. I remember when I first enlisted, there was a cook in our unit that he said he was going to be a lifer for 20 years, going to be a cook. I was like, man, you got a long road to hoe, man. You're just a private. But kids enter the military thinking that they're going to retire, which I'm okay with that. I mean, at the time I wasn't, but definitely I'm okay now because I retired.
Right. Well, I mean, that kind of even goes along with the anti uh, philosophy of retiring with a corporation or with a company, like IBM or Ford Motor Company, where you'd spend 40 years there, right? And then
Yeah,
you knew you'd get a rubber tree plan and a pension. And
yeah. Well,
days
Social
are gone.
Security destroyed that, and the armed forces was the last holdout.
Yeah. So. All right. So the report that we were just talking about states that the barnacles of bureaucracy are slowing change and innovation. The Department of Defense implements change at the margins as end runs around typical processes and a small scale instead of overhauling central personnel, research and development, and procurement mechanisms.
So they're doing this change like right on the fringe, the periphery, not on big ticket items, just on the things that can, quick hitters get done fast. That's where the change is coming. That's why it's slow.
Yeah. So the report cites how the Special Operations Command acquisition model outpaces that of the services, and the Space Force has a more agile personnel system than the Air Force.
So the
Additionally,
spec ops, they need to get munitions, weapons, training aids. They need to get that fast because you put them into harm's way, different parts of the world. They need to have the equipment. So their acquisition is really a model for what the other armed services should be like.
well, and don't they rely on the regular military for some support, right? Air support.
Well, they've got their own. They've got their the Air Force has a special command for that. The Marine Corps has a special command for that. That they all work together in this special opera. The Rangers, Delta Force, SEALs, they work together.
Okay. And then additionally, the Marine Corps has shifted its entire vision faster than the Navy. Like you were saying, they're the one branch probably that still is up to snuff, right? Because
Yeah, you want them as your best friend, and they're your worst enemy. They're your worst nightmare.
yeah. So
Okay, so the root cause of research and development decline is a weak defense industrial base, right? The following problems have been documented over the past two presidential administrations.
okay, so the first one is insufficient defense budgets, both as a share of the federal budget and as a share of the economy. Is the national debt starting to become an existential threat?
Yeah, when
And
you're paying 600 billion to service that debt, that's less money that goes into budgets for defense.
and who owns a lot of that debt? China.
China, yeah, China, yeah.
And
So
we're
that
sure
that
not
word
we're not
that
being
term existential threat gets thrown out there a lot, and it's kind of trite, but it really is a threat to our national defense.
yeah.
Okay, unstable and unpredictable defense spending exacerbated by government shutdowns, sequestration, and continuing resolutions. Again, the national debt we're patching these budgets together, and it's like they're using them as bludgeons. That the Republicans want to shut government down, so they're bad, and then the Democrats want to shut government down, so they're bad. It's like they're using it as a weapon. We need a balanced budget amendment, not a federal court system amendment that uh, um, came out today advocating for, making an amendment for that. Focus on balancing the budget.
Yeah. Balancing the budget and building our military.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Strength, peace through strength, right?
Exactly. Yep. That was a Reagan credo. Just he was all about that. So, and that's what brought the wall down, right? Soviet Union, Berlin Wall came crashing down.
Soviet Union couldn't keep up with the defense spending. They just didn't have the economy to keep up with the United States.
Yeah.
In defense spending.
So the next is the triple decline of the research and development spending as a share of federal R&D, federal R&D as a share of total U.S. R&D, and total U.S. R&D as a share of global R&D.
So it looks like we're not keeping up with other nations like France, Britain, Netherlands, you name it, Canada, whatever. And then that's just a trickle down effect as federal research as a share of the total United States research, right? So
we've seen more. We've seen more of that in private sector stuff, right? Like with Musk.
Yeah, Musk, exactly.
Other companies have put their money into stuff rather than
and you saw this kind of a ramp up like World War II when we were just innovative. I mean, the Manhattan Project, created an atomic bomb in
Yeah.
record time, right?
Yeah.
Cranking out all these tanks and these aircraft, retooling the factories to do that. That was innovation that did it. We're a
Ships. Yeah.
powerhouse.
Yeah.
But now we're not.
Again,
We're focused on pronouns,
yeah,
right?
that was the Rosie Riveter thing, right? The men were off
Yeah,
fighting, all the women
yeah,
were putting it together. So
yeah, yeah. So, consolidation and reduced competition in the defense industry and reliance by defense companies on the Department of Defense as a single buyer. So, there's companies out there where they're just the Department of Defense is their only client, right? And these companies should be diversifying. The DoD should just be a small part. And so that's what's also hurting this robust defense industry.
okay, policy, regulatory, and cultural barriers to the attracting new entrants and harnessing commercial innovation in defense. No place for diversity, inclusion, and equity.
There's
Yeah.
no place for that. It just brings everybody down. It really does.
Yeah.
Take the brightest, take the best, no matter what color they are, no matter what language they speak, brightest and the best. Right?
Exactly. That's where you got to go, right? We talked about that, right? If you're going to
Yep.
a doctor, you want the best. You want the best there is. You don't want somebody that just got through because of the way they look, the color of their skin.
Yeah.
You want the best. So
Okay, so acquisition processes that complicate production and stifle innovation. It's red tape. I mean, the regulatory red tape is strangling this the acquisition process. It really is.
erosion of the broader U.S. manufacturing ecosystem over multiple decades, and that's obviously we don't hardly make anything anymore. And even the things that we do
No,
make,
it's gone.
American automobiles, they're made in China, or not made in China. They're made in Mexico. Manufacturers have gone to Mexico because of the labor and less, regulations. So we're just become a lazy.
Carrier just announced that they're sending their Carrier's an HVAC heating
Right.
ventilation company. They're sending all their manufacturing to Mexico, laying off a lot of people to do that. The Rust Belt is rusting because there's no more manufacturing, and it's not because we shouldn't think that we're more focused on education and smarts, and that's where it's at. No, we've got the people that can do the blue collar work, earn a
Right.
decent wage, a decent living. We need to
Yeah.
bring that back, and we need to
Stop paying people not to work.
yeah,
Get them back to work.
exactly. Maybe put some tariffs on other goods for foreign goods to make our goods more competitive. You know what I mean?
Donald Trump. That's what he was all
Donald
about,
Trump.
right?
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
not fair. We'll tariff you to death. So, all right. You want me to read the next one too? Shortages of skilled workers due to educational issues, high employment rates, and other factors. We kind of just touched on that. So
yeah. Insufficient access to strategic and critical minerals. Environmentalists saving the day, right? We can't get to the bottom of the Salton Sea to get all that lithium because
right.
there's some fish or there's some turtle that's on a endangered species and we can't disturb whatever. You know what I'm saying? We've got to go to other countries to get these critical minerals.
Yeah, that's across a broad spectrum. I remember when we were penalizing farmers if they had the kangaroo rat living on their property, they were not allowed to cultivate. I mean, what the heck? They killed a kangaroo rat while they were.
Well, snakes can kill the kangaroo rat and they get something to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Tax the snakes. So
hardware modernization is needed. Hardware at factories, hardware with equipment, everything above the board. In 2021, Congress passed the Shipyard Act, which was supplying help to infrastructure in ports, yards, and America's repair docks. Shipyard. So that's to create the maritime what am I trying to say? The merchant marine maritime force and our naval force. Um, we've just let it decline, and those factories have rotted on the coast. You know what I mean? We need
Yeah.
more legislation along this scope and this scale. The DoD needs to fix the munitions shortfall. Congress needs to remember we had shortages of 155 millimeter artillery rounds that we were given to uh, Ukraine, but it was
Uh,
causing a pinch in our supply. Remember
We're
that?
sending all kinds of stuff to Ukraine, and are we killing ourselves or shooting ourselves in the foot? No pun intended, because of that.
So this report, yeah, no pun. Cameron was laughing. This report says Congress needs to significantly increase the level of investment domestically in munition and in the capacity to build them. NATO has standard munitions, right? With us, 5.56,
Yeah.
7.62. Congress should work with allies to expand munitions production to provide resiliency. These are recommendations in this report. The Department of Defense needs to invest in new munitions and weapon systems to keep pace with warfighter needs and improve that defense industrial base.
So the report uncovered alarming trends such as China and Russia seeking to undermine U.S. influence, which we know that's been happening, right?
Yeah.
China,
We talked about that in Africa. Remember, we had a segment where Africa kicked out the United States from a base and Russia just went right in.
yeah. China spending $711 billion towards defense and increasing that amount by 7.2%. Russia spending 29% of its federal budget. That's incredible this year on
That's
defense.
incredible.
Yeah, in order to reconstitute an economy and military after failed initial invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean that shows you how much they've lost, how much equipment they've been punished.
Yeah.
Punished.
China and Russia started a no limits partnership, which has helped Iran and North Korea.
Oh my gosh.
China, and,
No limits
I mean,
partnership. We don't want that.
yeah, no, yeah. China and Russia are fusing military, diplomatic, and industrial strength to expand power worldwide and coerce their neighbors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Russia in Syria, China in and Russia in Africa, China in Africa. China is going down to South America.
well,
Yeah.
Russia's reoccurrence in Cuba a few weeks ago. You
Oh
know,
yeah, with their vessels, naval vessels, and a nuclear submarine. A
right?
nuclear submarine.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad. That's scary stuff.
Yeah,
So
this is an alarming time for the United States. Really alarming. It's going to take speaking. Is it going to take speaking Chinese to wake up and come to grips, where we get conquered by the Chinese and now we have to speak Chinese, or we get conquered by the Russians and have to start speaking Russians? By then, it's way too late. We need to
yeah,
cut out this pronoun bullcrap and the wokeness bullcrap and focus on just making America great again. I know it's trite, and the left doesn't like that. They use that as a cudgel, but that's what it is: making America great again.
yeah, yeah. We can do it. We can do it with the
We've done
right
it
people.
before. We can do it again.
We can.
All right,
All right.
folks. Thanks for joining in. We appreciate you listening and hang in there and stay with us. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everyone.